Good. Welcome to another time at the book club. That's what we got to do in the afternoon at 2 p.m. West African time. So glad to have you. So glad you could make a time with me. It's our second day reading our new book. It's our sixth book in the series. It starts with The Good Life by Robert Boldinger and Matt Schultz. And it's a result of a longest study of human development by the isnt in Harvard, right? And they've been studying certain set of people, 792 people. And right now with their descendants, they're coming up to about 1,300. And they've been doing this for close to 80 years right now. So this is their report of the scientific study, and they've also brought all the stored learnings, to talk about what a good life is. And that's what we're doing for our sixth book. We did an introduction last week, and today we're on to chapter 1. We'll start with the book, digging into the book today, chapter 1, right? So I'm going to bring up my slides here, and we're going to Alrighty, I believe you can see my slides. It's a good life. That's the book. That's Robert. That's Mac. Putting this together, and so the chapter 1 starts with this quote, right? It says there isn't time, right? There isn't time. Like we know, time is the most valuable asset because it is not replenishable. Each one of us has a certain number of days we've been allotted to be here on this side of eternity. When those days are expired, will be expired. We'll have to leave the scene here. So it's wisdom is making the ultimate best of number of days have been allotted, right? So life, so brief is life. Life is brief, irrespective of how old you live. Compared to eternity, whether you live 100, 120, 200 years, it's still nothing compared to eternity. It's just brief life. Some people don't have the privilege of living that long, right? So the time that we have there, let's not use it for bickering, for apologies, for outburning, for callings, let's make the optimal best for what we have. That's what Mark Twain is saying in all of that. It says there's only time for loving, but an instant, so to speak, for that, right? We're here to love ourselves, one another. Every other thing is a wash. We're here to love God who put us here, love ourselves, and love others. Every other thing is a wash. Those are the three critical reasons, or the things that make for a good life. If we're able to love God, appreciate the Creator who has put us here, love and appreciate ourselves, then love others, right? And that's pretty much the soul of what Mark Twain tells us there. And we'll see more of that go on. But we're here in chapter 1, and the question of the book, and the title of chapter 1 is what makes for a good life. What is it that makes for a good life? What is a good life? We've done a lot of pre-discussions before starting the book on that, looked at it from different angles, so begin to dig deeper here. And so the book asks, Robert and Mark asks, if you had to make one life choice right now to set yourself on the path to future health and happiness, what would that choice be that would set you on the right path to happiness? We all can look at it from different angles, and the survey was done to ask different people about it. For me, maybe I should just think and answer that myself, and I'm doing some of that today. I'm saying a lot of no's. I'm not allowing people write my agenda or my life agenda for me. I'm making the effort to write my own agenda plan my own schedule, say no to a lot of things that don't feed me. Last week, yeah, I did post something about the few essentials for me. Then I posted something also on my not stop doing list. And a lot of things that anything that doesn't feed me is something I do. Anything that doesn't improve my life, why should I waste time doing it, right? For the little time I have, like Mark Twain would say, I want to love God, and loving God, like we know, is not a sentiment. It's shown by what you do. What life is a reflection of whether you love God or not. Loving God has nothing to do with emotions. It is shown in what you do and what you do not do. So I pray that to be my definition. I'm with religion. I've always hated religion, but for different things I've had to make excuses, but these days I'm trying to kill it as much as possible in my life. I don't have a place for religion in my life. I want to be real. I want to taste life as life is. I don't want any make-believe, So I have a few things I put out there on Facebook, on my stop doing list, and I don't waste my time with, going to engagements that don't feed me, and my few essentials, like I say again, is, using God, taking care of myself, and loving others. It's relationship, it's family, it's God, it's heaven, right? I don't want to live my life and not be cognizant of the fact that one day I'm going to leave here. So I do everything to prepare for eternity. I have a goal for my life. I have the end time goal when I'm on my dying bed, what the things I want to be said concerning me or to have achieved, and every day that's what I press towards to achieve it, right? I'm not like any other person. I'm unique, right? I am me, and I know, and I'm cognizant of what God's expectation is concerning me, and walking and chasing after that is what is a good life for me, right? Obviously, there's the health part of it. Over time in my life, I've probably been a failure in a lot of that, because one time I'm so into it and I get carried away, at other times with schedule. And I'm that kind of season right now where I've not been as up to date with my exercise routine. So I'm fighting my way back. The reality of life is that life is not a straight line, right? It hits you at different points. But having a goal, then it becomes your not-seeking compass, whereby when you deflect away, you'll find your way back, and that's the power of having goals, right? So continuing the chapter, they did a survey in 2007, and they were asking people, what's the most important life goals for them. And 76% said that that becoming rich was their number one goal. Everybody wants to become rich, at least, anyone that has good sense, right? You'll be able to pay your bills. So you don't want to be pain or trouble to other people. You want to be able to live life on your own terms. If you want to live life on your own terms, then you need to be able to pay your bills. So that's a power of becoming rich, and everybody can become rich if they start early enough and follow the right financial plan. You can become rich, right? There's no rocket science on how to become rich. You just have to have a financial plan, and your plan is mature. Your plan will feed you. Your plan will carry you, right? So 50% said that major goal was to become famous. People wanting to be famous is people that probably have a low sense of self. They're too carried away by what other people say concerning them, rather than what they say they know and say concerning themselves, So the same survey was done to those same people 10 years after, and there was a bit of shift, in the response, and obviously they had much lower people talking about faith because they had matured. They had matured to know that it's not about what others say about them. It's all about what they say concerning themselves and what they believe their God is saying concerning them. Men are finicky, you can't trust people there. You can't live your life on what people's opinion, right? But their top goals still kind of remain the same, other than the fame part. They talk about making money, having a successful career, and becoming debt free. So that pretty much stays 10 years, right? Which makes sense, right? Like I said earlier on, success for me is being able to come into a place where I can live a quiet and peaceable life on my own terms, right? And to be able to do that, then you need to be able to fund it, right? So yeah, makes sense, what the good life could be for some people, including myself, but it doesn't have to be that for everybody, right? Because success is you achieving the goal you have set for yourself, not what other people have set for themselves. It's all about you, right? What you believe is success for you. That's what's going to feed you, right? It's going to be personal. Success is personal, right? And there's a whole saying, right? As people think about the good life, this whole saying says we are always comparing our inside to other people's outside. Another way of saying that is that we're always comparing our weakness to other people's strength. That's a foolishness in comparison, right? We're not here to compare ourselves to other people, because that's why we're all different. We all have different giftings, different strengths, and dexterity, and scripturally, God would say that we're created according to the task, the good work that God has brought us here to accomplish, and so our examination paper, they're not the same, right? If you're going to have a good life, then you're going to live from inside out, not from outside in. You're not going to be too concerned about what other people are or what other people are saying. You need to find your peace with yourself. Ask yourself, what do you want? Not because of other people, but what you believe will bring you to that place of peace, that place of quietness, that place of living life on your own terms, right? Scripturally, we would look at the Apostle James will say that the reason why people's prayers don't get answered is because they're asking wrongly. They're asking to chase after the Joneses, right? They're asking because they're comparing themselves to others. God doesn't dance that tune, right? Life doesn't dance that tune. Life will respond to you, not by your comparison to others, but by that which deep inside of you have ascertained is what you want, that will make a difference for your life. And then you press towards it, right? With a congruency from within, right? So when we talk about what makes a good life, it's not about comparison. It's about looking deep within and determining what will make for your peace, what will make for your quiet, what will make for your rest, right? And being also true to where you are today, right? You're not going to start from the first floor. Irrespective of what you believe will make for a good life for you, you have to be cognizant of where you are right now, accept it, then begin to use it, because that is the raw material you have. That's a seed you have for the future you seek. Don't despise your seed, right? Wherever you are right now is your seed. Don't despise it, because that's all God has given to you for a reason, right? Treasure your seed and use it, and to get you to the future you desire, right? So also we'll talk about a good life. It's not about thinking of a place and time in the future. You have to learn to enjoy where you are right now on the way to where you want to get to. Because if you don't enjoy where you are right now, you're never going to get to where you want to get to, right? Because what gets us treasures in life, what grows us, is a sense of peace and rest within, right? If you're living out of anxiety, that is going to be counter to building, counter to development. Respect where you are right now and where you want to be. You must take anxiety away from the connection. It's got to be faith, 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 faith. Faith grows, right? Anxiety kills. Faith grows, anxiety kills, right? So, and so Robert and Mark puts this in their book, or spoiler alert. I modified it slightly, but let's take it one by one. It says the good life is a complicated life for everybody. All right. Take away the good out of it. Life is complicated. Life is not a straight road. And the good life does not take away that lack of straightness from life. It makes the best of what life is. All right. Like we'll always say, it's not a card you were played, it's the way you play the card. Right? It's not about the way the card you were played. It's about the way you play the card. It's not about where you were born. It's what did you do with where you were born, right? It's not about who your parents are or the circumstances of your birth. It's what did you do with it, right? So life is complicated. It's not straightforward, and it's not for us to try to make it uncomplicated, but to accept it for what it is and use it to get to the promised land you desire, right? So life is joyful and it's challenging. It's full of love, but also has pain, right? It has positives, it has negative. You're not going to get one without the other, right? Roses have thorns, right? You don't choose between the roses and the thorns, because thorns have roses, roses have thorns. Right. So it's accepting it and making the best use of it. Right. It never strictly happens. Right. Life happens, but they're saying it never strictly happens. I mean, what you want doesn't necessarily strictly happen. Life is what it is. It happens. Right. It's for you to make the best of it. Right. And what he's saying is that everything you want does not completely unfold itself, right? It's a process, right? It unfolds through time. I started a farm here in 2021, we've been building our poultry since then, right? This is 2 years after we have not completed the poultry, but we'll rather take the time to do it right than be in a hurry and do a sham. Right, HRA, right? We're going to take the time to do it right. And that's why it's taking this time. Make it a solid structure, not one we're going to do today, then we'll start patching up tomorrow. So we're taking our time to do it right, right? So it's a big poultry. It's a 30,000 bed capacity poultry. So it's cost both money, it's cost human labor, and it's taken the time it's taken to get it to where it is right now, hoping to make it operational soon, before the end of the year. Now we have to deal with the rains. We'll have to work with the rains as the rain permits, but we will not compromise anything. We'll take the time it takes to do it right, to get to the result that we're looking for, right? So life includes turmoil, calm, lightness, burden, struggles, achievements, setbacks, leaps forward, terrible falls. If ever you've lived any length of time, you'll have seen all of this. I'm 56 this year. I've seen everything. I've seen all of this, right? So I've lived a good life, and I'm living a good life, and I will live a good life. That's instant. That's what I'm learning from this, right? I have lived a good life. I deceive you not. I'll be ungrateful to say I've not lived a good life. I have lived a good life. I am living a good life. I also want to live a good life, right? So the good life, like every other life, ends in death. One day we're gonna die. We're gonna leave the sin. We're not here forever, right? So I brought in some quotes here. Some we shared last week, some new ones, just to re-emphasize the thoughts that we've already shared here. So I'm going to re-emphasize the thoughts we've already shared here, and we'll continue next week. So the first one, which we shared last week, says a good life is a collection of happy moments. Then it's worthily, and that's what part of the definition we see from the book. The good life is not something somewhere. It's happening right now. Right now. If you're going to have a good life, you must have a good life right now. It's all about the moments, right? And you want to make every moment to be a happy moment. If you're going to have a good life, then you want to collect the moments, right? You want to be present in every moment you find yourself, and get the best out of it. The collection of all of that is what makes for a good life. I'm intentional about it. Anyone who knows me in the place of work knows I'm intentional about it. I am not passive. I am present in every moment I find myself, and I find joy in it, right? And have good interaction with people, So the good life is built with good relationships, tied to what I just said. I treasure relationships, right? I treasure relationship, and everyone who knows me knows that, right? The good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge, right? So there's got to be love, right? Like I said, you got to love God, you got to love yourself, and you got to love others, right? If you take love out of it, you're not going to have a good life. If you have unforgiveness, if you have hatred, wickedness, you're not going to have a good life, right? So a good life is a process, like we just said, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. Like I said, I have lived a good life. It's a process. I am living a good life. It's a process. I will live a good life. It's a process, right? So, and Jim Ken was shared last week also. It says, convince yourself every day that you're worthy of a good life. If you don't see yourself worthy of it, if you don't have a good and strong sense of self, you can't have a good life. You need a good and strong sense of self to have a good life, right? It doesn't come easy, right? It doesn't come of its own, right? So let go of the stress, right? Breathe and stay positive, and all is well, right? So Gabriel Benston says, Gabrielle, so lady says, I learned that real happiness doesn't come from getting, but from giving, right? You don't get happiness by being a parasite. You give. You apply yourself. If you want to have happiness, if you want to have a good life, then you have to go out there and apply yourself, right? You have to be the one to take the first step, to know people, to relate with people. If you want to be interested, you have to be interested. If you want to have an interesting time with people or outing, you have to be interested in people, right? You have to take the first step. It's not going to come to you, right? So there's only one success, and it's to be able to spend your life in your own way, and that's a good life. If you're not spending your life in your own way, if you are being forced to do what you don't want to do, then good life. Like I wrote again, shared on social media this last week. I work for free right now, because I do what I like, I do what I love. I work for free, right? And I've handed, right? I can decide to do what I want to do, and that's a good life, right? I'm only resolved to act in the manner which will, in my own opinion, constitute my happiness, right? I can make the decision for my happiness, and that's what it takes to live a good life. If you want to live a good life, you have to do the things that make for good life. You have to apply yourself and sow the seeds that will make for that good life for yourself. No other person will do it for you. They're supposed to do it for themselves. You got to do it for your own self. All righty. That's all we're going to do today. I'm going to stop here. Next week, we'll continue from this. And I hope you learned something. It blesses you. God bless you. Have a great week ahead. Thanks for spending this time with me. Bye-bye.